Gravity of Deceit, a field report on hell's heaviest sinners, by Moxifer, junior scribe of the Sin-Fact Checkers Guild. Welcome, damned souls and esteemed colleagues, to another edition of the Infernal Inquirer. We've all heard the old human saying, lies have short legs. Down here, we've had to amend that. Significantly, in hell, lies have a density. They have mass. They have a crushing, inescapable, and frankly, hilarious gravity all their own. Forget the lakes of fire and the poking implements for a moment. In the sprawling, chrome and neon metropolis of the Pentagram City financial district, a more insidious, more bureaucratic form of damnation is unfolding. It's a curse so perfectly tailored to the modern demon, the corporate sinner, the social climbing backstabber, that it's become one of the most common and visible forms of punishment in the Pride Ring. We call it the Gravitas Maledictum. The locals, with their characteristic lack of subtlety, call it the sin scale. And its victims are known, with a mixture of pity and derision, as lead liars and the immovable. The core concept is deceptively simple, a masterpiece of divine cruelty. Every lie you tell increases your physical body mass, not your muscle mass, mind you. Not the kind of bulk that gets you a better seat at the Hellfire Grill. This is a dense, leaden, soul-deep weight that settles in your bones, pulls at your flesh, and grinds you slowly, inexorably, towards the floor. It's a horror that unfolds not in a scream, but in a slow, agonizing creak. The bureaucracy of burden, how it works. Before we delve into the gory and gooey details, a quick primer on the mechanics. As best as our overlords, scribe guilds, have been able to ascertain, the curse isn't administered by some horned bureaucrat with a clipboard. It's woven into the very fabric of reality for its victims, a karmic law as fundamental as gravity itself. The system is terrifyingly precise. A small, white lie telling your boss you're sick when you're just hungover on Sinner Soul Brew, or complimenting a fellow demon's new, still smoldering flesh graft might add a pound or two. A significant, self-serving lie that damages another. That could be 10, 20, 50 pounds materializing from the ether of your own deceit. The big ones, the foundational lies that shatter lives and damn souls, false testimonies, broken vows of eternity, betrayals of the deepest trust. They come with a metric ton of consequences. Literally. And here's the real kicker, the bit that makes the angels upstairs giggle. The weight of the lie is proportional to its consequence, not its factual distance from the truth. You could claim the sky is green with no effect if it has no impact. But telling a single, crucial soul, I love you, when you see them as a mere stepping stone, that can break your spine before the words have finished echoing. There is no workout, no demonic liposuction, no magical spell that can remove this weight. It is the physical manifestation of your moral deficit. The only way to shed it, theoretically, is through a full, agonizing, soul-scouring confession. But in hell, where reputation is currency and vulnerability is a death sentence. Confession is rarer than a sober overlord. Case Study 1. The Middle Management Mire. To understand the horror, you have to see it in its natural habitat. Take the case of Barnabas, a mid-level manager at the sole procurement firm, Acquisitions and Damnations. I met him in his office on the 33rd floor of the Perdition Tower. He was a slick, serpentine demon of the sort that thrives in corporate hellscapes, sharp suit, sharper teeth, and a forked tongue that could sell sin to a saint. When I first started observing him, Barnabas was maybe 20 pounds into his curse. It was the heavyset phase. He developed a slight waddle. His chair groaned a little more when he sat, and his perfectly tailored suit was starting to pull at the seams. He was in the stage of denial, what we scribes call the ponderous phase. His day was a symphony of minor falsehoods, each one adding another invisible ounce to his frame. Your soul transfer is our top priority, he'd purr into a crystal ball, while simultaneously playing a game of pin the tail on the sinner with his imp interns. Creak. The reports of our department's soul-shredding quotas are greatly exaggerated. He'd lie to a concerned underling. Groan. Of course I value your input, Glarbnog, he'd say to a subordinate, whose name he clearly didn't remember. Thud. The horror for Barnabas wasn't sudden. It was cumulative. It was the slow dawning that his favorite, elevated desk was becoming harder to lean over. It was the slight, ever-increasing hesitation before he stood up, a subconscious calculation of the energy required. It was the way his expensive, hell-leather boots began to wear out at the soles at an alarming rate. During my third visit, he was firmly in the leaden stage. He gained what looked like 150 pounds. His movements were slow, deliberate. He developed a permanent sheen of sweat on his brow. The darkly comedic side of the curse was beginning to show. I overheard 2 junior executives snickering by the infernal water cooler. Look at Barnabas, one whispered, a grin stretching his maw. Telling the big ones again. I bet he told the big man upstairs he'd have those soul quotas by the end of the day. The other chuckled, puffing out his chest. Pht, amateur. I told my wife I was working late, and I only gained a solid 5 pounds. Barely felt it. I'm light on my feet, me. Always have been. This is a key social dynamic among the cursed. A perverse hierarchy forms, not based on power or wealth, but on perceived truthfulness. Demons who tell small, manageable lies, what they call lightweight fibs, brag about their agility and moral, well, not superiority, but lesser inferiority. They mock the heavy sinners with the glee of schoolyard bullies. My final visit to Barnabas's office was a scene of true, immobile horror. He was no longer at his desk. He was in the middle of the room, a beached whale of a demon, easily over 1,000 pounds. His body had spread, his flesh seeming to melt into the expensive carpet. His breathing was a labored, wet rasp. The floorboards beneath him were visibly bowed, groaning in sympathy with his own tortured sounds. He couldn't move. He couldn't even lift a hand to answer his screaming crystal ball. He was just a fixture, a monument to his own careerist deceit. His eyes, the only part of him that seemed light, darted around in pure animal terror. He was trapped in a prison of his own making, and the walls were his skin, the social ladder that you can no longer climb. The horror of the sin scale extends far beyond the individual. It warps social interactions in hell, a realm already not known for its healthy relationship dynamics. Deception is the currency of hell, but now, spending that currency has a direct physical tax. Parties in the upper echelons of Pentagram City have become terrifying gauntlets of judgment. Demons don't just check each other's fashion or power displays anymore. They assess each other's heft. You'll see a towering, elegant overlord like Velvet von Eldritch gliding through a crowd, her lies so carefully curated and inconsequential they add no more weight than a feather. She is the aspirational figure, the truthful liar. And then you'll see a portly, wheezing viscount, his gilded robes straining, his lies clearly of the more consequential variety. He is pitied, but more than that, he is read. Everyone knows he's a significant deceiver. His weight is a public ledger of his sins. The bragging is the comedic counterpoint to the terror. I told Alistair I loved his new radio jingle. A sleek, spider-like demon will boast, twirling effortlessly. Not a single ounce. I'm practically ethereal. Oh yeah, another will retort, flexing a slender arm. I convinced 3 sinners I was their salvation. Felt a little tight in the shoulders the next day, but I worked it off with a quick jaunt through the wrath ring. You gotta stay light, my friend. It's all about the quality of the lie. This creates a bizarre economy of honesty. In some circles, brutal, crushing honesty becomes a perverse status symbol. I think your new horns look tacky, and your screams are uninspired, a demon might say, just to prove they can afford the social fallout, confident it won't add a gram to their frame. The insult is a flex of their lightweight integrity. For those on the lower end, the curse is a brutal preventer of social mobility. How can you lie, cheat, and backstab your way to the top when every rung on the ladder you grasp is another 10 pounds on your back? The most ambitious sinners often become the most stationary, their grand plans literally grounded by the mass of their own deceptions. Case study 2, the romantic ruin. The horror is perhaps most poignant in matters of the heart, or whatever organ demons use to simulate affection. Consider Seraphina, a succubus who had made an art form out of seduction and betrayal. She fed on the devotion of others, then discarded them. It was her nature, her sport, her sustenance. The sin scale did not care. I observed Seraphina at a nightclub, the siren's call. She was targeting a wealthy, naive sinner new to the eternal party. She was magnificent, all swaying hips and hypnotic eyes. She leaned in close, her voice a honeyed whisper. "You're different from all the rest," she breathed. I feel a real connection. It was a lie she'd told 1,000 times. But this time, as the words left her lips, her stiletto heel snapped clean off. She stumbled, not from the broken shoe, but from a sudden, violent lurch in her own center of gravity. It was as if a sandbag had been dropped into her torso. Her smile tightened. She gained maybe 30 pounds in an instant. The sinner, oblivious, found her new, slightly more grounded presence endearing. The true horror unfolded over their subsequent courtship. Every false promise, every feigned emotion, every whispered, "You're the only one," added another layer of concrete to her being. Her graceful dance became a clumsy shuffle. Her ability to flit from admirer to admirer was gone. She was becoming anchored to this one mark, her lies physically tethering her to the very relationship she was faking. The climax came when she tried to end it. She planned a dramatic, vanishing act, but when she tried to storm out of his lava grotto apartment, she couldn't. She made it to the door, her body now so dense, so heavy, that her feet had sunk into the solid obsidian floor. She was stuck, cemented in the doorway, a grotesque statue of her own duplicity. Her lover found her there, struggling and weeping tears of pure frustration. The look on his face when he realized the truth, that every word had been a lie that now physically imprisoned her, was a unique kind of hell all its own. He left her there. Last I heard, she's still part of the architecture, a cautionary tale for other succubi. The terminal stage, the immovable, the end stage of the Gravitas Maledictum, is what we officially term complete gravitic arrest. But everyone knows it as becoming a feature. This is when the sinner's mass becomes so great that movement is impossible. They cannot be moved by others, save perhaps by an overlord's raw power. They simply settle. The body undergoes a grotesque transformation. It's not just fat, it's a compression. The skeleton, under such relentless pressure, begins to fuse and deform. The flesh spreads, flattening out like warm wax. Internal organs are crushed, yet the cursed biology of hell keeps the sinner conscious, aware. They don't need to eat or breathe, they simply are. They become part of the landscape, a lumpen, breathing, tormented piece of furniture. New sinners use them as chairs. Imps graffiti them. They are ignored, stepped over, a part of the urban decay. Their world shrinks to the patch of floor directly in front of their eyes. They are forced to listen, for eternity, to the lies of others, each one a mocking reminder of their own fate. The ultimate horror is the eternity of it. There is no release, no death, just an endless, crushing stillness, a weight of sin so absolute it becomes your tomb and your identity. You are no longer Barnabas the manager or Seraphina the succubus. You are that lump near the elevator or the sticky patch in the doorway. A culture of lightweights, and the ultimate irony, in response to this plague, a whole subculture has emerged. Truth-tunning gyms have popped up, where demons exercise not to build muscle, but to prepare their bodies to withstand the inevitable weight of necessary lies. Sin counters offer their services, helping clients track their lies and calculate the potential poundage. There are even confession carnivals, grotesque traveling shows where sinners, for a price, can publicly confess their sins in the hopes of shedding weight, only to often be pelted with rotten food and mocked by the crowd. The dark comedy is inescapable. It's in the demon who, after telling a whopper, immediately drops to the ground to do push-ups, as if he could outlift his own deceit. It's in the couple arguing, not about the lie, but about the mass of the lie. You said you were a 5-pound liar. This feels like a 20-pound deception, Beatrice. But the ultimate cosmic joke is this. Hell is a kingdom built on a foundation of lies. The very streets of Pentagram City are paved with the compressed, flattened forms of history's greatest deceivers. The ground beneath everyone's feet, the very stability of their damnation, is comprised of sinners who told one the lie too many. They are crushed, immobile, and eternal, supporting the weight of all the new, lighter liars who dance on their backs, blissfully unaware that they are just future pavement. So the next time you feel the urge to tell a little fib, to twist the truth for gain, to paint a more flattering picture of your damned self, remember the Gravitas Maledictum. Feel that subtle psychic pressure and ask yourself, is this lie worth an ounce, a pound, a ton? Is it worth becoming, forever and ever, part of the floor? Because down here, the truth may not set you free, but a lie will most certainly ground you permanently.